Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Episode number 20 of My AI Love Affair. Today, we're going to talk about something super important in business, taking your leads, who are people who've given you permission to talk to them. They've given you their email address and they need some help from you. Taking those leads and converting them into clients. How do we do that? How do we do that with empathy? How do we create something that really helps them? How do we use AI to do that? And how do we make sure that we stick to our principles? Because as creative entrepreneurs, we struggle with selling because it doesn't come naturally to us. We love having gifts and we want to wrap the business side around it. So today we're going to talk about sales. Let's learn. Hey, it's Ronsley. Welcome, you AI geek, to this podcast, My AI Love Affair. Consider this podcast your digital compass, guiding you through the labyrinth that is business growth using artificial intelligence. Running a business as a creative can sometimes be like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. But what if you had a secret tool that could align all the colors for you? That is AI. It's like a master key unlocking multiple doors. Thanks for being here. Let's learn. I'm super excited about today's episode, primarily because this is the first one. I'm back in Brisbane, as you can see, in my Brisbane studio and, well, home studio. And I'm just back from Hawaii, and that was such a good time. And I have a great treat for you all listening to the podcast because there were a lot of really cool things that happened. I was there with a bunch of business coaches from all around the planet. There were like 130 of us that gathered for about a week, just under a week, so a Tuesday to Saturday sort of event thing. And it was a great opportunity to meet people and talk about AI and how they're using it in their business and online success stories all around the planet. So I took the opportunity to invite some of my smart friends and have a panel and ask them questions about artificial intelligence, what they are seeing, why we should care, how they are using it in their business, what is actually getting results looks like for them, and what does success look like. And I did it live. There were a bunch of people that asked questions. So we're going to have that broken up into 3 episodes because it was a panel, and we're going to make it short, and all the great bits are going to be coming up in a future episode. Today, we're going to talk about sales. All right, like most topics, I say it's important, but this one is the most important for us creative entrepreneurs because if we do not sell, then we're not making our gifts sustainable. So I want to break this down, and as normal, I want to start with the principles and some mistakes that I would love us to avoid. And this is coming from someone who's done all these things, by the way. So if you've done them, that's totally cool. Let's get into it. So principle number 1 is patience. People love buying, but they hate being sold to. And what we need to remember is everyone's on their own journey, and we have what we're doing is we're laying the path, so when they are ready to buy, they want to buy from us. Okay, so having patience is important. But also, the zero moment of truth is an important study that if you don't know about, you should Google it. It's a study done by Google about the zero moment of truth, which is the point where someone first finds out about us to when they actually buy from us. Takes about 7 hours, 11 touch points across 4 different mediums. This is someone who's never heard of us ever, right? And they first come across our work. It takes a long time for them to get to a point of zero moment of truth. So having a content plan around your business is important because it builds patience into what you're making for your people. So building that, principle number 1. Number 2 is empathy. And I believe using AI with empathy is going to be the way of the future, especially for the conversation coming up. But let's talk about some simple empathy when it comes to taking our leads and creating them into clients, right? Meet them where they're at because everyone's different. And a lot of the times we have already been in that situation and we want backstep ourselves and have empathy for where they're at so that we can not overwhelm them with information or steps. So we need to understand their position better than them because we've already graduated, right? And we've graduated and we've taken the time to break down where they're at, and we've done some research on what gets them overwhelmed in the first place. So we give them these easy steps to follow, and that is true empathy. Sometimes we are learning along the way and we refine the steps, but it's important to be empathetic to where they are at. Principle number three is adaptability. And it's basically about allowing everyone to be in different situations and be okay with getting the result. What I mean by that, sometimes people don't have the money, but they have the time to implement the steps. So give them a product which doesn't require you to do it for them, and they can do it in their own time, but they have the time to implement, but you're making it so simple for them to do it. So they have a little bit of money to invest. So you make a very good online product and give them the ability to get the result using the time that they have to execute. Some of them might just want the result but have no time. So they'll give you more money to be able to get the result. So at the end of the day, have a way to tailor the situation so it becomes easy for them to execute this stuff. So that's principle number three, is about always allowing them to believe the future they're buying into. And you do that by giving them steps. You do that by giving them free resources. When you think about free resources and creating free resources for your audience, think about what will give them a running start. If they land up becoming a client, what should they have already been done for them to become the best client because they'll get the result? So what are the things that they need to do? So thinking about that is really, really important, and it'll allow them to be best suited to get the result. Okay, let's talk about mistakes. And these, by the way, are ones that I've made. The first one is ignoring the lead, like making when someone downloads your lead magnet, forgetting about them, just giving them the lead magnet and then forgetting about everything else, right? They're just ignored and they're there. You want to be able to help them at that point. Then neglecting the client, and we have a whole growth tactic on that, which is onboarding, which is a super important process that we all should have in our business. And I'll talk about that in another growth tactic. And finally, forgetting to ask for referrals. Totally guilty for that. So I want you to think, and if you watch the previous growth tactic that I've spoken about this idea, think of our whole ecosystem as the garden. And in the garden, we have these seedlings, and the seedlings are planted, and these are leads. And they will ultimately turn to be clients, like flowers, and these flowers look really beautiful and the garden looks really cool, so other people are attracted to come and play in our garden. And that's the idea I want to overlay. Don't neglect the seedlings, don't overwater the seedlings, and don't plant in the wrong season. And you know exactly what I mean when I'm talking about that. Let's not make those mistakes, and let's do these steps instead. The first is onboarding your leads and providing them direction. The next is nurturing them for wins, and that allows you to build trust with them. And finally, you overcome objections and you give them confidence by overcoming those objections. And it's not actually, when we say objections, people think of it as, oh, you're trying to manipulate. That's not what we're doing. We're giving them confidence, and I'll talk about that. So let's get into the steps. The first step is onboarding. Now, I learned this framework from a friend recently, George, in Hawaii. And this is his acronym. This is his 5 steps. He spoke about these. The first is acknowledge. We want to be able to see them. And again, I think I will do a whole growth tactic on this onboarding. So look out for another growth tactic. But just breaking this down, the first is acknowledge, see them. Second is prepare, allow them to surrender and feel safe. Allow them to know that you have them covered. Number 3, project. So paint their future. Taki Moore, my coach, I speak about him a lot. He has this great saying, and I learned it from him. I'm not sure whether he got it from somewhere else, but people don't work with you anymore when they run out of future because they can't envision the future. And I'm butchering that quote, by the way. Paint their future. Number 4, pre-handle. Like, everyone's looking for a back door, and we want to take responsibility as leaders and allowing them to get this outcome. And we don't want to give them a backdoor. And by the way, this is not my framework. This is George Bryant's framework, and I want to give him credit. Number 5, excite. let's get to work. So when you're onboarding someone, make sure you take these 5 steps, and I'm going to do a whole growth tactic on this. That's the first step. The second step is nurture. Think of each step as giving them quick wins. So when you are nurturing someone who's a lead, you want to give them quick wins, which they feel like they're building confidence with each win. That's what you want to do with your nurture sequence. So we'll talk about that in the prompts, by the way. I'm going to give you the way to break this down using ChatGPT and the prompts and what kind of prompts you should put in there. So think of giving them confidence, providing them with the start. And also, this last bit I got from George Yen, and he said something really amazing. He said, solve for the last person. So solve for anyone that can potentially, not for the ones that only going to take action. Make it so simple that they can totally do it. Doesn't matter what skill level they have. You have all the resources and tools and templates and AI prompts to be able to solve for the last person. So you're giving them options, and that's the nurturing part of it. All right. And the final step is overcoming objections. What are the frequently asked questions? Having them in one place. What ways can you take objections and reframe them and allow them to see the future differently from the objections they already have? Can you change their mindset in certain ways that allows that reframe to occur? And what bonuses can you include that makes it a no-brainer for them to buy this from you? If you had those 3 steps, how would you use prompts and AI to execute this growth tactic in a really useful manner? Well, the first thing I would do is go into ChatGPT and do a whole Y stack of my audience. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to a previous growth tactic, and I've broken down how we look at fears, frustrations, wants, needs using ChatGPT and some prompts. So go and look at that, join the Discord, and also download level 1. It's free. There are 20 lessons on how to think of AI and how to use it in your business. aigeeks.co/level1. But the first thing I do is, who's my audience and what do they care about? Then I would say, hey, I want to take my audience from this place A to this place B. What kind of skills and tools and prompts and steps do I need to give them so that they can get this outcome, which is B? So allow ChatGPT to give you those ideas. Don't feel like you're stranded. And I think it'll allow you to see differently in a lot of instances. The next thing I would do is go, okay, for this particular audience, if I had to do 15 topics or 10 topics or 20 topics or 30 topics, if I were to give them these topics that would give them quick wins and give them homework, what would those topics be? And let them give you topics, and then you can look at those topics and actually make a more informed decision. You can change them, you can rearrange them and have those topics in a certain order that allows them to get this outcome that you're promising them. And you can use ChatGPT to do that for you. So in the same chat, build on the first prompt to do the topics prompt. And finally, ask in the same chat, if this is my audience and I want to take them from A to B, what are some of the frequently asked questions they might have? Can you help me brainstorm these questions? What kind of objections they might have? Can you help me brainstorm the reframes? And if I was to give them some bonuses and create some bonuses for them to sign up for this sales course or this course that I'm creating or this product that I'm creating, what kind of bonuses should I create? And you can brainstorm all of that using ChatGPT. Now, I hope you found this helpful. I have some resources that I've collected for you. And if you want these resources, I'll put all of them in the Discord community, or at least the team will. I asked ChatGPT on this growth tactic, and I asked it to browse the internet and give me some examples that have been executed. And it came up with this great Zendesk article, and I'll put this in the Discord. But it spoke about these 6 things, which I'll break down here. They talk about the lead scoring process and how you can ask questions to score the leads. Is the lead genuinely interested in your product? They have a genuine use for the product that you're creating? Can they actually afford what you're doing? So all these allow you to score the lead. And that's the first one. The second one is lead nurturing. And there was a study done about how If you nurture a lead, you can generate 50% more sales ready leads at 33% lower costs. The third one they brought up was utilizing reviews and referrals. The fourth, they speak about keeping sales content fresh and accurate. So making sure you have different content for selling, and what does that look like. The fifth point they bring up is mapping out the follow-up points, like how do you create a timeline of outreach, which we spoke about. And finally, they talk about personalization and allowing, based on the lead scoring, you can personalize the outcome, which we spoke about when we broke down the third principle, adaptability. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of resources here that I will put into the Discord community. Join us, aigeeks.co/discord. Become a level 1, aigeeks.co/level1. And I'll see you in the next episode. Much love. Hey, AI Geek. Thanks for listening. Your job doesn't stop here. I want you to lend your voice to the conversation. So you can join those conversations, discussions, new trainings, new recordings, and the rest of the AI Geeks by going to aigeeks.co/discord. Also, share this podcast with a friend, another potential AI geek. Until then, much love.